know, a bad grapefruit.
As long as it wasn't Mexican.
Well, Joe, now we're walking around sneezing from hay fever and everybody's backing up.
Yeah. It's intense where I live.
Yeah.
Really heavy pollen, you know.
Yeah.
So what are you gonna do?
All right, let's we're all set. We are live. All right, everybody, it is 7:00. We are live here on Animal House Radio. Killer and Carlo in the house tonight with a living legend, singer-songwriter. Please welcome for the first time, Mr. Joe Bouchard.
Yay!
Hey, Joe, how are you, my friend?
I am excellent. I mean, I've been so busy with my new album, and new single comes out tomorrow. Doing all kinds of press related stuff and videos and keeping myself very busy. It's
what's the
good.
single? Is that Forget About Love?
Yes.
That's a great song.
Yeah, it's the second time I put it out. I put it out 6 years ago.
Okay.
And the guy that wrote it said, you should really promote that song, And unfortunately, he passed away about a year ago. And so I wish that he could have heard it because it is really getting a great response. And I'm just very excited about it.
Did you re-record it or remix it? What did you do?
Yeah, actually, the first time I did it was just with some programmed drums. But this time it's actually Mickey Curry who's playing the drums on that song. And Mickey is like
incredible. I know him from Alice Cooper, right?
Yeah, he played on Feed My Frankenstein. He's played on every Bryan Adams hit. Lots of Bryan Adams stuff over the years, but he's done like Cher, and he did The Cult. He did what's that one? Sonic Temple. He did the whole Sonic Temple album. That's incredible.
Wow. Wow.
Beautiful stuff. So
I've seen him touring with Metallica, probably. The Cult.
Yeah. He definitely done a lot of that. He's got 40 gold records, Wow. And it just so happens that his brother, I met him at an open mic. I go to these open mics. His brother plays the flute like Jethro Tull.
Oh boy!
So Todd Curry said, "Hey, you should get a hold of my brother, and have him play on your album." Because I was thinking, my brother does play the drums pretty well.
Right. Yeah.
But I've played with him for 60 years.
Yeah.
A good 60 years we've played together, and we're going to do more projects.
Joe, I can't thank you enough for coming on with us today. It's a real honor for me, especially because growing up, I listened to all kinds of like classic rock and hard rock, but Blue Oyster Cult was my first experience in a rock concert. I remember exactly when it was. It was December 26th in New Jersey at the Capitol Theater in Passaic.
Yes. Great show. Was that with Slade?
Yes.
That was the Slade show.
Yes.
Awesome.
And I was a big Cult follower. I went and I bought the shirt with the question. I never understood that symbol. You got to explain that later on. But that Blue Oyster Cult was my first experience with music.
I loved playing the Capitol Theater. I saw Alice Cooper. One of my first experiences seeing Alice Cooper was at the Capitol Theater.
Yeah, it's a legendary place.
I met Chaz Chandler that day.
Oh wow!
Chaz was Slade's manager, but Chaz also was the bass player in the Animals, and he was Jimi Hendrix's manager. He made Jimi Hendrix happen, Yeah. But and he was really nice, and I was glad to, connect with the incredible Chaz Chandler,
Yeah.
It's funny, Joe, that you mentioned Chaz Chandler, because I was going to bring up the Animals during our interview today, because I'm jumping ahead. But your cover of All Day and All of the Night, which is a Kinks song from '64, I felt reminded me of something that the Animals would have sounded like doing that song.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just strange how you brought them up.
Yeah. I enjoyed doing the cover. We did We Got to Get Out of This Place. And I remember talking to Ted Nugent. I never talked to Ted Nugent, but Ted said, "Hey, that bass sounds really good."
That's funny.
We didn't talk about hunting and fishing. He just said, "That bass sounds really good on We Got to Get Out of This Place."
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
man, I've been listening to this record, and I've dug your stuff for years. Everything, the Blue Coupe, now you got the
my
work
sixth
brother and
solo.
Dennis still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Blue Coupe albums are great. We just put one out in November. It's already June. Wow, time flies. But yeah, we get to do a lot of great. We got to go to Sweden last summer.
Yeah.
Best show of our career in front of 10,000 people. Maybe, I think it was more than that, probably 12,000 people. And it was just a fluke that we got the show. It just happened. The weather was great. You know, it was an incredible night. One of the other metal bands had to cancel their show because they were stuck in customs in Poland. So everybody that was going to go see them came to see us. We had Ryan Roxy from Alice Cooper play guitar with us for half the set. We did a video, a 5-camera shoot, full 24-track sound, and that's up on YouTube now. And it's just a great video. I was
I haven't seen that yet, man. That's great. Ryan's a rock star.
Go look it up.
I will.
It's a Sweden Rock Festival with Blue Coupe.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah. You know what, Joe? I got to tell you, I listened to Forget About Love today, and what I noticed about it, it has a signature 70s sound, and it's one of those songs which we desperately need right now, especially in the midst of what's going on. It was an up-tempo song that it reminds me of being in the car with the top down and just putting the pedal to the metal and blasting that song.
There's a guitar solo through the whole song.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to mention
that little tiny guitar solo. It's through the whole song.
I was going to ask you about that show. Did you produce this yourself? You did?
Done right in this room.
What I wanted to ask about producing yourself, how did you get the right volume on the guitar and the vocal, being it's both you? You know what I mean? Sometimes you need an outsider for that.
I ask people, what they think. I get outside opinions, but generally it's just trial and error.
Yeah.
I did like lots of mixes before I took, and had great tracks to begin with. I really experimented with the feels, and I might do like 6, 7 different versions. I have to put on 2 hats.
Yeah.
The hat of the performer and the hat of the producer. Now I got to work with Martin Birch, who did Deep Purple. I got to work with Bruce Fairbairn, who did Aerosmith and Bon Jovi. I got to work with Tom Werman, who did Cheap Trick, and Ted Nugent, and he did all the Motley Crue stuff. He did a ton of Motley Crue stuff. So I worked with all of these producers as the artist. So I put on the hat and say, well, what would Jack Douglas tell me to do?
Yeah.
What would he do? Is it good enough? Can you do it better? Have you blown your chops? Have you gone too far? Go back. Now, back in the old days, I can remember the old days when you only had 24 tracks. And if you erase something by mistake, it was gone forever.
Right.
Now, it's really good. I mean, I miss the old analog. I miss the warmth. I miss the camaraderie. A lot of times I'm working on this stuff by myself and I start thinking, I need to see somebody.
Yeah.
But you push on and you play that the Jekyll and Hyde. What is the producer gonna, is he gonna yell at me? Is he gonna yell at me that I haven't really put the feeling into it? It was good, but was a little dull. Sandy Pearlman. Okay, I should mention Sandy. Sandy was our manager, and really invented the idea of Blue Oyster Cult. A real futuristic. He could think ahead of the curve. He really had the brains to think ahead of the curve. And he would be very tough on us. He was very tough on Buck Dharma in the studio. Buck can play anything with his eyes closed, backwards, standing on his head. He can play anything. But, he has a tendency to like maybe settle. Oh, that was good enough. Sandy would say that was never good enough. Do it again,
Oh, wow.
Wait, capture that magic,
He was a perfectionist, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I put on the hat of the artist. I put on the hat of the producer. I also had to engineer myself most of the time. I mean, when I recorded the drums, we went to a real classic studio, a studio that I used to work in the 80s. In the late 80s, I worked in the studio. And it's this big barn of a room with a high ceiling and weird angles and stuff. And the drums just sound incredible. They just sound incredible there. So basically, you take a couple of thumb drives. I don't know, maybe you actually Dropbox the stuff. So we recorded the drums. You Dropbox me all the parts, and then I go and I assemble it here, and make changes,
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's
amazing how different the technique is these days.
Yeah. I mean, and also the cost was out through the roof back in the 70s and 80s.
Oh,
So,
Yeah.
if you have a decent computer and don't mind, I spent a lot of time doing lessons in how to do the software. So you got to learn the software. So there's a bit of a learning curve there, but it's not insurmountable. It's all there if you want to spend the time being a kind of a nerd.
Yeah.
I'm a nerd. I love the technical aspects of it.
Right.
When I grew up years ago, my dad worked at the TV station when TV was just starting out. So he was kind of like one of those guys that fiddled around with electronics. He had a little electronics repair shop, and he would do all kinds of things. He would do the sign off at the end of the day, the sign off on the TV. He actually got us a gig playing between the cartoons on the kiddie show.
Wow.
When I was a little kid.
Oh, boy.
I'm getting into all of that old stuff because
Oh, that's the best stuff, Joe. Don't feel free. Joe, with the new album, Strange Legends, you did 100% of the writing, and do you have a certain process when it comes to that, or you?
But with this new album, Strange Legends.
Well, with your writing process in general, do you just lock yourself in a room, or is it just as it comes to you?
Yeah, lock myself in. I try to find a good concept. 4 of the songs are written by my good friend John Cook, and I've done I grew up with this guy. He was my next door neighbor, but he also turned into be an incredible songwriter. He wrote hundreds of songs. He was kind of a graphic artist, but he also loved guitars and he loved writing songs. So I've been recording his songs, on all my solo albums.
So for him, it was just a hobby. He wasn't actually in the business.
he just didn't have the personality to become a recording artist. I thought he certainly had the talent, but he just was too shy to. So I would steal his songs.
Everybody close your ears. You didn't hear that.
I'd sneak over to his porch. We'd be having a couple of beers on the porch. And I'd be like saying, oh, I got to record that song. That's so good. So Forget About Love was one of those songs. I was going through a divorce at the time. And I was up there at our cottage, and he had the cottage next to mine. So I went over there and we're having beers, and he says, here, I got this song. It's called Forget About Love. And he starts singing it. And it's like, my God, this is so great. I got to record this song. And then he said, okay, you can record it. So.
Oh, wow. Couldn't
Yeah.
have made it any easier for you, right?
Yeah. I mean, so that's 4 songs on the album. And then 2 of the other songs were written by myself. And the lyricist is John Shirley, who writes lyrics for Blue Oyster Cult. He's a science fiction writer, extremely talented. You know, he's been, he has his own band. He sings in a band. So he sent me an email and said, I like your stuff. And I guess he had heard one of my other solo albums. And so I said, yeah, well, send me some lyrics. So he did. And I put 2 of the songs I put on the Blue Coupe album. They really came out good. Break Through the Wall, and another one called Simple Answers Kill. And now with this one, I have the second single coming out is a song called She's a Legend, which is a great sort of Blue Oyster Cult-ish, you know, dark story, but it's kind of a love story, and the guy wins in the end, and he gets away from the legend. He actually escapes from the legend. It's the end of the story. So that's coming out in July, a single.
What is that, July 31st, was it?
Well, the 31st is the official release of the album.
Okay.
I think the 19th, something like that. The second single, 19th of July.
Okay.
Second single comes out called She's a Legend. And I'm already working on videos for that. It's fantastic. Yeah.
Well, tell our listeners how they can get it. I saw you have some pretty cool like bundles. You got the CD signed and a T-shirt and a poster.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm excited about it. I got picks.
Oh, the guitar pick.
Oh, wow.
I got one of your Blue Oyster Cult picks.
That's one thing I don't have. Wow.
That's the Blue Oyster Cult signature.
Oh, boy.
Excellent.
I got some picks. I haven't had picks in a while. I've been like using a bunch of different picks, and I said, I'll get around to it. But I've got a few here, and they're going to go out with the bundle and autograph everything. I'm not exactly sure. I think it's Deco Entertainment, and they have a website called Merch Bucket, and I think if you go Merch Bucket Joe Bouchard, you'll get all of this stuff in the CD. And
I gotta check it out.
Advance on the singles. They'll give you a link to the single.
I mean, even the price, everything is very reasonable. I mean, you're really
for what you get. And a T-shirt too, you know.
Wow.
So
yeah. Well, I definitely recommend for our listeners to check out the new album. I mean, dude, you're still writing songs. I don't know what a hit song is anymore, but these are hit songs. This is the way hit songs were written.
I listen. I mean, I force myself, not often, but once in a while, to listen to what's in the top 10. You go to like the viral 50, or you know what's really happening. It's like, oh gee, this is kind of doesn't really rock much, you know. It's kind of like everybody's chasing that hip hop disco thing, you know.
That's what I was going to ask you, Joe. What do you think about the new music?
I just keep waiting for. Well, all right. You know, when that band Greta Van Fleet came out,
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
It was like in a playlist, somebody's odd playlist. And I didn't think too much of it. And then I heard the playlist was not too exciting. A Greta Van Fleet song came out and says, wow, is that like a lost Zeppelin track? But it rocked.
Yep.
It did rock. And it did rock. There's a lot of criticism. They're little kids and, you know, they have yet to grow and they've yet to come out with that big blockbuster. If they came up with a blockbuster like The Reaper or something like that, my God, they would be like bigger than sliced bread. Who knows?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's good to see the young people at least are doing it, though. Somebody's doing it.
Yeah.
What
I saw
amazes
them a
me,
few months ago. Great band.
Oh, yeah.
what amazes me, Joe, is that when I go, you know, we do a lot of work with veterans and we go to concerts all over. We bring them out. And like with the older bands like Blue Oyster Cult, Def Leppard, Judas Priest, Foreigner, it amazes me, and it's a testament to me because that's my decade, the late 70s, the 80s, you know, that there's people in the audience that weren't even born, and they're jamming out to these songs like we are, and we were the core audience.
I am completely stunned the longevity of our catalog. It's beyond me. I mean, it's really beyond me. I thought maybe we'd last for 3 years.
Oh, come on.
That's the way it was, though, in the late
Yes, that's the
60s.
way it was. I said,
Yeah,
if we could be as popular as the Moby Grape, I'd be happy. You remember
Yeah.
Moby Grape? They
I
were
do.
at Columbia, you know, and they had a couple of good tracks, but didn't last too long, you know.
But I found our music, what you have done, what we all love, has become intergenerational. And I don't know if I made that word up, but it
Well, it
has.
transcended generations, and not every artist can do that. They can't say that.
I'm stunned, like I said.
Uh,
The 90s, okay, we go back in history. The 90s were not great for Blue Oyster Cult. I had left the band. My brother left the band. They were out playing gigs.
Just wasn't the same band, you know.
Yeah, it was different. And also that it wasn't them. It was the timing was different, you know. I mean, I don't know. There was
Everybody was into the grunge thing.
Nirvana.
Yeah.
Soundgarden, and there was some good stuff there, lots of good stuff there. But now, I don't know. It's just come back around again, and I have to blame it on.
Yeah, more cowbell.
Oh my God.
This goes back to the 70s.
Oh
This
yeah.
is one of those. I can't say it was the one that played on the Reaper, but very similar. This would be the one that we played on the Chambers Brothers. Time has come today.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's too funny.
You know, Joe, I've spoken to you several times. We've done another radio interview together.
Yeah.
And I met you at a hotel bar in at one of the Killer conventions.
I remember that.
Yeah, you were singing geez,
Did I say
Humble
that?
Pie songs.
Oh,
We
good.
were talking about classic rock. Yeah. Anyway, you were yeah. So you were like one of
I
the
don't need no doctor.
yeah. And I could never forget that, how down to earth you were, and I appreciate that now and then.
Well, thanks.
Yeah,
You actually remember that night.
Yeah. That was great. You were
No,
I can't forget it.
I love
I got pictures of us from that night.
Yeah, that was good old times.
Hey Joe,
Neil Smith was there and Dennis Dunaway.
since this is your first time with us, everybody, mostly all our fans, they love the rock, classic rock, and how did it start for you? When did you know that this is what you wanted to do?
Oh,
And who influenced you early on?
Only one guy, Little Richard.
Wow.
I was about probably 8 years old. and I went to my cousin's house, and his older sisters had some like Elvis records and, you know, the pop records of the day, but they also had Little Richard's greatest hits. And we would put this record on and jump up and down. They had these old spring beds. We'd be like jumping around like maniacs, like, wow, what is this? This is like, you know, nothing I ever heard before. I mean, it wasn't like the smooth jazz or the swing bands that, you know, were very popular. And country music, country and Western was very popular up where I grew up.
Yeah.
But
I would have never expected that answer, Little Richard. When I met Lemmy, he said that to me, and that blew me away because that's not the kind of answer you would expect. But if you think about it,
rock star.
Yeah, well, that's
rock star.
Even Deep Purple.
That.
Yeah, well, even Deep Purple were doing Little Richard for encores.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's what. When you think about it, at first you're shocked by the answer, and you say, "Well, that's what was out when they were growing up." Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And what's even more crazy is that a lot of the UK artists, they always cite like Chuck Berry and Little Richard, and then when you talk to the American artists, they cite, you know, the Beatles, and it's like a weird dynamic, you know.
No, I was rocking in high school before the Beatles, but and you know, I remember when the Beatles came out, and I said to my brother, says, "What are we gonna do? Are we gonna, you know, what is about this Beatle thing? Are we gonna play all Beatles songs?" And I'll tell you, 3 weeks later, we would go to a high school and play just Beatles songs. Yeah, it was. So I somehow I got the bug really early. You know, through high school we had a really popular rock band. You know, 5 guys. As soon as I got to college, the first thing I did was go and join the first band I could find. You know, and they were always like, it was like Animal House. My whole college experience was like Animal House. I went to college in Ithaca, and Cornell had more fraternities and nonstop parties.
Oh, wow.
They had to have live music.
Was one of those bands Soft White Underbelly?
Yeah, I booked Soft White Underbelly as I was a student, but I booked them in the local club. They came up and played. I didn't jam. Yeah, I jammed with them up at Wells College.
Oh, wow.
Wells College on the lake. Yeah, so yeah, I was a promoter of the Soft White Underbelly.
Yeah, that's where didn't Eric get his start with that band?
Yeah, he was at Hobart College, which is even further up the lake, and he had a band called the Lost and Found, and I knew them even before Blue Oyster Cult started. You know, I knew Eric. It was the singer of Lost and Found. We go way back.
Wow.
We go way back. So, yeah, but somehow I got hooked on it, and it always seemed like an easy thing for me to, you know, be in that sort of rock band type of thing.
Yeah.
And I got to join what was the remnants of Soft White Underbelly. They had another name called Stock Forest. It fit like a glove. It was perfect. You know, there was not a thing where like we had to like start all over and sort of reinvent the wheel. I just fit in perfectly. So I knew how Elbert played, so we could make a very strong rhythm section between the way he plays and the way I play. We could just lock together and make our thing happen. So, which they hadn't. I must be honest, they didn't have in the Soft White Underbelly days. It was kind of you know, hippie music.
I want to remind our listeners to pick up your new album, Joe Bouchard's Strange Legends. Yeah. But can I ask you to tell us a story?
Sure.
I think it's so cool when Metallica was picking songs to tribute that they picked one of yours. Out of all the songs of Blue Oyster Cult, they landed on one that you wrote. How did you feel about that?
Oh, I was, well, the first I heard about it, it was like the early days of the internet, 97, 96. And I was working my day job in the publishing company, learning all about how books are published.
Boring.
Boring. So, but I would check the internet once in a while, and somebody said Metallica is covering Blue Oyster Cult. And I said, "Oh, that's great, but you know, it's probably one of the obvious songs. You know, who knows? Reaper, maybe. Burning for You, maybe." And then about a couple of weeks later, I found out it was Astronomy. I said, "Wow, what a great choice!" It's not that well known. It was an album cut, and so I drive to my post box. I get a cassette in the mail
I remember those.
from
Oh, boy.
Metallica.
We're showing our age, Joe.
I plugged it in the car. I'm driving up the road. I can't believe it. It sounded amazing. I must still have that cassette somewhere. I wanted to just jump up and down, but I was driving.
Yeah.
So I couldn't. Yeah, that was a thrill to hear Lars's drums come in. Bang, you know, oh man, and James sings that great. Oh, what can I say?
I tell you what, though, I know when a lot of fans run into you, they must cite their favorite Blue Oyster Cult music, like Reaper and stuff. But I found myself liking Agents of Fortune and Dominance and Submission. I love that song.
Yeah, Secret Treaties album was a big breakthrough for us. We did well on the first record. Second record did even better, but the third record we really, and we got to work in the magical Studio C at Columbia.
Oh, wow.
And lately I've been like, it was this big church where Miles Davis recorded and Stokowski recorded and Stravinsky recorded there. All of these legends, and then we get to record there. It was awesome. The piano, they had many pianos, but it was this big church, huge building, Studio C on 30th Street in Manhattan. So somehow that vibe carried over to the Secret Treaties album and Astronomy, particularly. The vibe of Take Five and Kind of Blue and all of those incredible recordings of the 50s, and we got to do it in the 70s.
Yeah.
So.
You know what I missed the most, Joe, about the 70s? I loved buying vinyl, even though they reissue it now. It's not the same experience. But you know what I missed? The album artwork, like Agents of Fortune, the guy with the fan and the deck of cards.
I go to a record store and just do this. Just do this. Grab, just go here, and I'd always check over there, and I check that, these categories, and you think, gee, the people that actually run this store, they really love music because they're putting all the good stuff where I can find it.
But
I
missed
remember those days.
Yeah, I missed the artwork and stuff on
Missed
that.
that a lot. Yeah.
But there's one thing I can never find out, and back in the 70s, the only way we would know about you was through magazines. But how did the name and the symbol come into play? Well,
our manager, Sandy Perlman, was an editor of Crawdaddy magazine. Maybe you don't know that. Crawdaddy was the first magazine to take rock music seriously.
Oh, really?
Like serious, like they would, the New York Times would be serious about classical music. So Sandy, in his brilliance, and Paul Williams, who was the co-editor, decided that they wanted to start a magazine where rock music was taken seriously. So he developed a lot of friends through that, sort of New York City intellectual writers. And when it came to putting together the idea of Blue Oyster Cult, he really had a good idea in his mind what it needed to be. Intelligent, somewhat, but still fun. Fun intelligence. Now that's a concept.
Because
So
it just
But
for its
he
time.
wouldn't let us get too silly,
Yeah.
He
But
would cut us
the
off.
the name for his time was such a strange but welcoming thing. It was almost, that's why I thought, sometimes you get bands telling stories. Well, after a night of drinking, somebody said something slurring their words, and but the coolest thing I remember, now we're going back to 1978. Blue Oyster Cult's in their heyday. How was it? What was it like being featured in the movie Halloween?
Fantastic. They didn't ask us to use the song. They just used it.
Oh, wow.
It was a low budget thing. One of our producers, Murray Krugman, was sitting in the music in the movie theater watching Halloween, and the song comes on.
Oh, wow.
And
That's
he
pretty
says,
ballsy.
"Wait a minute, they didn't get a license for that song." So we talked to them, and they made us a deal. They sent us $500.
What? Oh my God! If you
They
knew
sent
then,
us- They sent us. That was a lot of money back then.
yeah.
But the
Metallica
movie
pays
did make
better.
like $17 million.
Oh my God, that
It was
movie's iconic.
It was a low budget movie, but it so yeah, that was great. And I looked up, all of our songs have been used in movies, video games, TV shows. There's about 75 uses of Reaper alone, So
Well, my favorite use of
cool.
your music was in the animated movie Heavy Metal.
Oh yeah.
That was great.
We worked for a year on that. Well, we didn't know much about the movie business. So we worked for a year writing songs for every scene of the movie. But Hollywood politics got in front of us, and Irving Azoff had his pet guys, and they, convinced them, you got to do this commercial stuff. You don't want to give all the songs to Blue Oyster Cult.
Oh wow.
So the Fire of Unknown Origin album is mostly songs that would have been in that movie, but they only took one, but they made a great choice. Veteran of the Psychic Wars is
that's a great song.
a fantastic song. Eric's best song, I think. Eric writes songs, but that one I think is the top of the heap for him.
That song was ahead of itself, especially with the drum in the beginning.
It started when Albert. I was talking to Albert. Remember, we should do this. Remember when we used to do the Memorial Day parade, and you would march to the cemetery, and we're 2 blocks from the cemetery. They changed the sound of the drums. They switch off the snares on the drums, and it's get really spooky. And I said, get that feel, get that sound, get that feel with the marching drums. And that's what he did, and it really worked out well.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Well, out of all the albums, though, did you have a personal favorite? I think you said Secret Treaties was your favorite.
Yes, I liked when they did the first album, and it first came out on CD, because the mastering of it was mastered okay, but I think I got a little bit more vibe of the album from the CD version than I did from the vinyl version. Just my own personal vibe. So I have a lot of fondness for that first album, Cities on Flame, and Screams, and Stairway to the Stars. I had the most fun ever doing that first album. That was like, I just wanted to jump up and down. I felt like I was a kid listening to Little Richard.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Joe, let me
Jumping
ask you
up
that
and
the
down.
song Godzilla became very commercialized. It was on radio, but was that like a spoof song because you guys watched those monster movies or
Yeah, we
it,
watched those same things at monster movies. Um, at It would be on WPIX on weekends,
yes,
and
Kung Fu
they
Theater.
would run them all weekend in a loop.
Oh, yeah,
You
the
know what I mean?
Chiller Theater. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I guess it was a little tongue in cheek. Donald wrote a great song there, and we knew it was a great song. And we worked really hard recording that. I never thought it was too much of a novelty.
Right, right.
And finally, they used it after about 30 Godzilla movies. Finally, the last one, they put the song in the credits, and it was about time. I mean, we
Oh, wow.
tried for years to get it in a movie. And then they took like Puff Daddy. What was that? Puff Daddy, come on, you got Blue Oyster Cult.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
No, you never know. See, that's the thing that maybe the Blue Oyster Cult never really played the Hollywood game.
Right.
Never really played the Hollywood game.
Yeah, but you were musicians. You didn't want to get involved in all
That's
that.
true.
You just wanted to play, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, anyway, I'm
Well,
amazed we're actually talking about all this stuff.
What?
It's all art, just like the album covers and the music, and you want to be in a movie, and it all ties together. I mean,
Yeah.
it's media.
Hey, you guys are Armed Forces Network. Does that mean that your radio show goes out to all the troops? And
It's American Forces Network. It was formerly Armed Forces Radio and TV.
Right.
Basically, with American Forces Network it's a cable and radio network, and we're on the radio end. What happened is I created Animal House Radio. We started 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And what my goal was, it's not about politics. It's about just focusing on entertainment and feel good stuff, like a Calgon moment for 2 hours a week. And I wanted to find a way that I can reach our servicemen and women, especially those that are in forward areas where, if you're in Alabama, you can pretty much get in touch with your loved ones because you're at least you're in the United States. So I reached out to them and I started sending my shows to them, and they loved it. They said, keep sending us. So
great. I went to Iraq,
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I did 10 shows in Iraq in 2010.
What was that like?
Oh, incredible.
Yeah.
So that's why I ask about the American Forces Network, because I didn't know much about the military or anything, but boy, I certainly came back with a real strong feeling for what these people have to go through. It was unbelievable. I didn't know what I was getting into. They made me sign a contract that says you cannot sue the U.S. government if you die.
Oh my God.
So then it's
obviously.
I guess this is kind of serious. And this was 2010 when Obama was just about ready to close down the war. And September was supposed to be the end of the war, but we were there 4th of July. And why? Because we're going to bring a classic rock show. It was a variety, a bunch of guys. Jimmy Jameson from Survivor, my good friend John Jorgensen, who played with Elton John, John's drummer. We had Orleans. We had we're good friends of mine, and we did Blue Oyster Cult. We did Kool and the Gang. We had Skip Martin from Kool and the Gang. So it was like a variety show.
Wow.
And the soldiers, we had a different soldier playing cowbell every night.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah.
We had the cowbell. So who wants to play the cowbell tonight? And it was insane. So I'm so happy that I got to, bring a little bit of home to those soldiers.
Well, believe me, they appreciate it, and they love your music,
their dedication, and the tough job that they had. The promoter kept saying to us, things might get a little rough out there because we had to fly. We had to fly in a transport plane. You couldn't drive on the roads. You flew in a transport plane every night.
Right.
Hot, just sweaty, and you had to wear body armor and the helmets and all of that. But you know, just what we could do to bring a little bit of home to them, to give them a little bit of normal. And they said, you know, you may feel bad out there these 10 days you're going to be there, but they have to be there for 18 months. You know, like, oh my God, you know. So,
Joe, were you scared at all being out there, or you felt protected being like around all the troops?
well, when I first got there, I looked around and everybody's got a gun. And I was like a little freaked out because that's not where I live. You know, that's not where I live. But by the end of the trip, I was like, everybody's got a gun. Yes.
Yeah.
No, we were well, we had security, and but it was a strange thing. It was I thought maybe we'd go to the Baghdad Hilton and play, you know, in the nice air conditioned ballroom, and everything be hunky dory. No, we were on flatbed trucks in the middle of the desert in July. It was insane. We had another 25 degrees.
Oh yeah, we had another celebrity on. We did a special for our Frontline Heroes with Alyssa Milano, and she was telling us how she went overseas, and she says, I was so nervous and I suffer from anxiety. And she says, well, General Franks, who was in charge of that, he says, don't worry. He goes, little darling, I can guarantee you we got more bullets than they've got assholes. So that was pretty funny.
There was, you know, there was one night we had a code red, which is a incoming mortar, but it was nowhere near where I was, and nobody got hurt, you know. So
wow,
things can happen. Things can happen. It was scary. I don't even like roller coaster rides. I don't even like roller coaster rides. Right. And this was kind of like a bit of a roller coaster ride. So
yeah. You know something? That brings me back to your new album, Strange Legends. The last song on it's called Winter. And I didn't read into the title too deeply until I started listening to it.
Oh yeah.
It's
deep.
It's so like you just said, we don't want to ride the roller coasters anymore. It's the winter of our lives.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I grew up in upstate New York, and we had some really, really cold winters.
Oh yeah.
Really cold, but you know, we made the best of it. That's where I learned to play music, because there was no video games, or there was like 3 channels of TV, and there wasn't much to watch.
So you had to use your imagination.
You ended up playing music. It was, you know, I think that the happiest people in my town were the people that played music.
Yeah.
That affected
because you were forced to use your imagination. You didn't have all those other
When I went to high school, most of the teachers were like pretty grumpy. Except for the music teachers.
Right.
We were having a great old time. So, you know, that affected me a lot, you know. Well, my uncle, we would borrow his guitars because he was a little jazz player. He kind of played like Les Paul, and he had Fenders, and oh man, he was very nice to us to let us borrow his gear for our high school dances, you know. Yeah, good old days.
Joe, once this is all over, will you be going out? I know you're probably like a bull coming out of the gate once this lockdown is over. Will you be touring?
Yeah, that's the way I feel about it. I know that demand is just going to soar as soon as the lockdown and the quarantine and all of that is over. You can feel it now. We just have to figure out the safest way to do it, because everybody loves to get jammed together in a room and sweating and hollering and screaming and singing along with all the songs. I miss that so much, you know?
Yeah, just ask them at Altamont.
Yeah. Who is your band going to be? Is it going to be Mickey Curry and?
No, well, Albert Albert and myself, we have a band called the Bouchard Brothers.
Uh-huh.
So I imagine we'll be doing some Bouchard Brothers type things. My partner Joan plays guitar in that band, but it's basically 3-piece, and we do the stories of the songs. We not only do the classic songs, but we tell the stories behind it, and we can do that kind of show pretty easily. I'm sure that Blue Coop is going to play some shows as soon as we can.
Well, I hope you get out to this area. New York. We're in Jersey, and we'd love to meet you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just so you know, Joe, the station, Animal House Radio, is playing all of these bands, Blue Coop, and we're going to be.
Yeah.
We're big fans.
I will make sure that you guys get as much as I can get you of my new album.
Oh, whatever you need. You consider yourself a friend of the show, Joe. You have an open door.
It's great talking to you guys. Great to see you again after all these years from Chiller.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
It's all a blur. Joe,
would you mind, Joe, giving us a station ID?
Sure, I can do that.
Carlo?
You're listening. Oh, ready?
Yeah.
Ready? What am I supposed to say?
You introduce yourself and just say you're listening to Animal House Radio. Give it that old Joe Bouchard flair, though.
Hi, this is Joe Bouchard, one of the founders of that band Blue Oyster Cult, and you're listening to Animal House Radio. Rock on, guys.
That was perfect. Now, Joe, if people want to go onto your website, joebouchard.com, will they be able to order the album and catch up on everything that you're doing?
Yeah, I haven't got it set up right now, but it will be set up within the next couple of weeks.
Oh, well, definitely.
Everything. I have some vinyls. I have my old CDs.
Picks.
Strange Legends picks.
Oh, that's so cool.
Nice. Yeah, I got to get one of those put next to my BOC pick.
Yeah.
I never had a BOC pick. I had pictures, I had albums, I had T-shirts. I never had a pick. I had the plain black shirt with the blue, I don't even know what you call it. Is there a name for that symbol, or is it?
Well, it was developed by our first artist who did our first covers, and it's been a great logo for the band, and it was the symbol of chaos, the symbol of chaos.
Oh, I love that.
I used to hear all of this stuff from Sandy, our manager, who would say, it was actually taken the symbol for white lead, which alchemists would use to change lead into gold. They use this white lead, and it's actually a symbol. And I said, he's making that stuff up. So years later, I'm at the University of Hartford, and I'm going through the library, and I open up a book of symbols. There it is, this ancient alchemistic book. And it was like that, but it had a little sharper point on at the bottom, but it was that cross of confusion, they say. And I don't know, we took some heat for that, because they'd say, it's evil symbol.
Right. Did they give you
but not really. It's just what it was is a historic symbol for white lead.
Yeah, that you caught a lot of heat for that. Did they say it was like a swastika or something? They tried to pull that bullshit.
Yeah, and of course, no way at all. So
yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Well,
There's a lot of fake news out there.
Yeah, Joe, I can't tell you what an honor it was to speak to you, and hopefully we catch up with you on the road soon.
I am honored to be on your program, and I'm glad that the American Forces Network is getting this out to a lot of great people out there.
Thank you so much. Steve, you have anything you want to add before we get out of here? Joe, thank you. God bless, and please continue to stay safe. Tell your brother Albert I said hello.
I will. You definitely have to talk to him. He's got.
Yeah, we loved it. I would like to catch up with Eric. He seems to be disappeared.
Well, they have a new album coming out in the fall. I'm sure they'll be hitting a lot of these radio sites.
Oh wow! Yeah. We'll look forward.
I don't know who's doing their publicity, but if I talk to them, I will send them your way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
put in a good
But
word for
Joe,
us.
I will see you somewhere.
Yeah, for sure.
Hopefully, not at Chiller because then he drinks too much.
I love Chiller. I love Chiller.
Fun, right?
Fond memories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots
Take
of good
care, Joe.
times,
God
sir.
bless, Joe.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you so much, guys.
Good night.
Great evening.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
All right, everybody. That was legendary singer-songwriter Joe Bouchard, and what an honor it was to speak to him. He is iconic, and if you don't believe so, then you should just not watch our show anymore because we don't want you if you don't acknowledge that. But I want to, if
Yeah, you got to
I
acknowledge that.
yeah, I want to encourage everybody to go to his website, www.joebouchard.com. His new album will be available shortly. You can catch up on stuff he's been doing, maybe order an older album, but show your love and show your support just like you watch us every day and every week. And that's it. Don't forget to visit animalhouseradio.net. We got more music added every day. We got some shows lined up. Malice Cooper's there Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday from 6 to 8. And she's quite a character. And me and Killer are going to be doing a
6
show
to
there.
8 Eastern. Don't forget we're worldwide.
Yes, Eastern. That's right. And
Yeah.
me and Killer are going to be we're going to be experimenting tomorrow and try to go live because this is still new to us, but we're going to take over the world.
Yeah, man.
So
Had a great time tonight, Carlo. It was fun talking to Joe.
do you believe that
He's always a good
$500 for he should have got millions for that Don't Fear the Reaper. Halloween became
Well, you know what though? He waited and Metallica took care of him.
yeah, right.
Yeah, man.
But
yeah, it was
all
a
right.
lot of fun. And he's a good guy. I like Joe.
Yeah. All right, Killer, another one for the record books. Do me a favor, go on our page and share the hell out of it. Let's get it
You
up to
bet, you
1,000
bet.
views.
Yeah. I'll talk to you later, buddy.
All right, take care. All right, everybody, we'll see you all next time right here on Animal House Radio.